Welcome back. We're back with the XR6 taxi build, and today we're going to be starting on the doors. So getting all the wooden parts made and the press grill, doing a custom press grill out of some mesh. So I've got to get all that done before I can start the fiberglassing, because all that needs to be made, so then we can do the fiberglassing and then I can finish with the woodwork. So let's get started on that.
Designed to impress.
The door panel is unscrewed and unclipped, and all necessary plugs are disconnected to remove the panel. The old speaker and crossover are disconnected and removed from the door. Here I am placing the speakers in various locations to try and find what will look best and allow for everything to fit nicely. The factory map pocket is drilled out in various locations so it can be detached from the door panel. The location for the speakers is roughly drawn and the backing panel is designed off camera in Fusion 360. The panel is then cut out on the CNC router. The locations for the tweeters is marked out and the tweeter holes are drilled at an angle to get them more directional than the mids. The second panel is marked out in the same way as the previous panel. Edges are cleaned up on all relevant pieces using a router and flush trim bit. A 45-degree chamfer is shaped into the two panels that will form the mating parts to form the grille. The press box is now assembled using nail and glue. This will hold the mating parts to form the grille in the precise locations. mating panels are temporarily taped into position to keep them from moving during the pressing process. Mesh is placed inside the press box, and then the upper and lower mating panels are forced together using the press to form the final shape. The edges of the mesh are trimmed so it will fit within the boundary of the panel. A rabbeted edge is formed into the trim panel to allow the trim panel to sit flush without riding on top of the mesh when it is installed. Now that all the pieces are done, the assembly can be put together to get a quick idea of what the finished product will look like.
So I've got the grills all done. I'm pretty happy with how they turned out. Nice sharp edges, no major defects or anything, so they'll be perfect to use. In the next one, I'm going to be working on fiberglassing the backing panel that goes onto the door, and then getting these outer trims all fiberglass to that backing panel, so that way it's all completely removable to some extent. There will be some modifications to the door, as I've already had to do some, so I'll have to do some drilling and cutting to make way for the speakers to get the depth that we need. But other than that, this panel will be mounted to the door separate as such. So yeah, in the next episode we'll be doing that, and then hopefully getting it closer to wrap. Then once I wrap the panels, it shouldn't be too long until we get the door sound deadened before we put it back on. All the speaker wires ran through. Then start on the custom boot install and do some more sound deadening in the roof, things like that. And then put in some new black plastics, or some black plastics compared to the old grey stuff that was in there, or the cream sort of coloured interior that was in there. So swap over some of that, and then we can get this back to the customer. So I know it's been a while, but starting to make some good progress now, and getting back on track. So stay tuned for the next episode of the XR6 Taxi.